Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we got to talk about brick and mortar stores because they're dying. Now, that's obviously not news to anybody that has been paying attention for the last, let's say, 20-ish years in the online era, but we've got new numbers as a result of Black Friday, etc., and it shows just how bad it is, not to mention the anecdotal evidence, which I'll talk about. Now, if you're in America or you're an American, you know we have a tradition the day after Thanksgiving called Black Friday. Basically, everybody lines up, and then we decide to throw riots in every big box store as we fist fight each other for 10% off a TV, which probably isn't 10% off anyway. That's the American way. And that's changing. And that's what's interesting about this. Now, this is coming from Rob Thubron of TechSpot, who I thought had really good numbers pulled from CNBC and other places. And so first things first, the overall society-wide good news. According to the numbers, the economy is improving and consumers are less afraid to spend money on non-essentials because we just hit a record $9.8 billion on Black Friday, and that is up 7.5% from a year earlier. Now, depending on the news that you're listening to, either the sky is falling, it's getting better, whatever it is. I've heard a lot of numbers both ways, but you can't argue with the amount that we're spending, and it is up, and that is well beyond inflation and all of that. So that is a really good sign for the health of the economy. But interestingly enough, and here's where we dive in, more than half of that amount came from mobile purchases, thus suggesting that people are willing to make impulse purchases. Now, Adobe Insights into seasonal retail trends shows that during the holiday season so far, which is, for the record, at the moment of publication, November 1st through November 26th, almost a month. And for the record, November includes Veterans Day, where you can buy a mattress for cheap, Thanksgiving Eve, obviously Thanksgiving, and Black Friday, and that is a total of basically all of those $86.6 billion, which has been spent in e-commerce shopping in just those 26 days. Now, Black Friday alone brought in, as I mentioned, $9.8 billion in revenue. And basically speaking to CNBC, lead analyst at Adobe Digital Insights, Vivek Pandya, said that $5.3 billion of that amount came from digital purchases. It was a similar picture when you're looking at all of the holiday spending to date. 49.42 was completed on mobile. That is a big jump. Almost half of our spending is now completely online, and it's not just Amazon. Now, Pandya said that influencers and social media advertising have made consumers feel easier about making purchases from their devices, helping fuel growth. I know personally, when I am looking at, for example, Facebook and all of that, I'm seeing more advertisements for anything than I am posts from friends. So there you go. Now, they also noted that Adobe doesn't track revenue that comes from in-store purchases, which, according to MasterCard, were up just 1%, only 1% year over year. Online sales increased 8.5% compared to last year, further illustrating, obviously, how more shoppers are essentially leaving brick and mortar in favor of online alternatives. And why? I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Now, anecdotally, as I mentioned, we've got anecdotal evidence. There have been videos of basically the last Black Friday from a couple of days ago where you see the doors open and let's say everybody at the Best Buy or whatever are bracing for impact and like two people walk in. And that's a huge difference compared to the absolute riots we've seen in the past for, again, 10% off a crappy TV or whatever it is. Literal fighting. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. Now, total e-commerce spending for the holiday season, which includes Cyber Monday from yesterday, those sales will extend through the rest of the year, and that's forecast to reach up to $221.8 billion. And that, for the record, total number is up from $210 billion from last year and $205 billion in 2021, meaning we are spending, which means we are comfortable with spending. And I think that's an important thing overarchingly for the economy, but not a good sign for brick and mortar when that is more and more and more coming online. And that's a hard pivot for brick and mortar to make. Best Buy online sales are nowhere near the behemoths out there. Even Walmart has problems online competing with the Amazons of the world. Now, while it can't match the 8.6 growth seen in 2 years, 2023's 4.8% increase is still a very good improvement over the small 2.5% increase from the last year. Again, another indicator that the economy is doing pretty good. And I'm not going to get in, I'm not an economist. I'm just saying, just looking at the raw numbers, that's a good thing. And of course, we're beating inflation because $9.8 billion might have been $9.6 billion last year, but we're still billions ahead of that. Now, while the increased Yearly spending is good news for the economy and business, as I just said. One indication, though, that consumers are trying to avoid big individual purchases is basically the increase in what is known as BNPL, buy now, pay later. Now, buy now, pay later purchases accounted for 6.5 billion during the holidays and 79 million during Black Friday, basically the latter marking a 47% increase compared to last year, which is an indicator that while the numbers are up, maybe that's not so good, because obviously you're putting it on layaway, or you're basically paying that, let's say, for $1,000 TV over time. You're not paying $1,000. You're paying like $1,200 because of the interest and everything else that you've got to go through, as opposed to just the $1,000, which may mean that consumers have less money in the bank, but they're still feeling better about spending. Maybe their incomes are up, and so while they don't have it in the bank, they feel comfortable spending. Now, Adobe analysis comes from 1 trillion user visits to U.S. retail websites, 18 product categories, and over 100 million unique items. Basically, yesterday's Cyber Monday is expected to generate about 12 billion on top of what I just mentioned from the 1st to the 26th, because I'm talking to you here on November 28th. And so obviously this is a good thing. So what I think we are seeing is another indicator in the nails of the coffin of brick and mortar. We are continuously basically isolating ourselves. And I think longitudinally, this is not a good thing. Now, if you're a longtime follower, listener, however you absorb my content or my information, understand that I've talked about these things. The social media has basically replaced a lot of in-person stuff. We are no longer, just going outside as kids, until dusk till dawn. Now the kids are getting scheduled for play dates. Now we are seeing our friends online as opposed to in person, and we are reticent to come together, with, let's say, rare exceptions, like, oh, that one band I love is coming to town, so yeah, I'll absolutely go to that. But other than that, yeah, send me an email or send me a DM. And I think that's something that we have to account for in society. And as a result of that, why on earth, if I can get it from Amazon, and I'm saying this in general because I'm not a big Amazon shopper, for the record, but the person thinking like, well, if I can get it from Amazon tomorrow and I don't need it right now, or maybe they've got same day delivery on this, why on earth would I leave my house to go do something? And so by virtue of that, think about what that depresses. That depresses brick and mortar, which basically depresses local employment, which means, they have to shrink or go under, which also depresses gas because people aren't spending as much gas, or they're not spending as much on cars and all of that. There is a ripple effect that we have to the economy. Now, whether that's good longitudinally or bad longitudinally, that we have yet to see. I don't know. Maybe driving cars less is good for the environment, but bad for something else in terms of, manufacturing or employment or something else. We're not stopping having kids as well. These are longitudinal questions that we have to answer. So as we are sitting here talking about this, while it looks like the economy is improving after coming off of obviously a global pandemic that sucked for everybody worldwide, these are things we have to account for. So I'll leave it at that. I'll let you make all your own decisions on this. I'm sure there'll be some of you out here that say, Nick, you're an idiot because my politics dictate this. Fine, knock yourself out. What I'm saying here is simply this. Brick and mortar is dying. Online is coming up. The economy seems to be improving. And as a result of that improvement, it's going to quicken the pace of the death of basically in-person retail. And I don't think that benefits anybody in the long run. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and come see me in person whenever I'm speaking at an event near you, for the record. And I do that quite a bit. Same with YouTube. Follow me on YouTube. Don't go to YouTube's data centers live. I'm never there. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.